Hello. I want to uh, read and break down an article from Thomas L. Friedman. He wrote in the New York Times. Thomas L. Friedman is renowned writer. I mean, he's got to be one of the top writers in history covering the Middle East. I mean, this guy knows the Middle East. However, he wrote an article from October 19th that I want to comment on, and this is the kind of stuff that a renowned author can write. He's a weekly writer for the Times, three-time Pulitzer winner. But his writing has meaning. Mine, I don't know. Who knows how many people are going to see mine? But New York Times, of course, massive publication, and a guy like Thomas L. Friedman writes an article. People who don't understand, in my opinion, what's going on are going to attach themselves to. So I'm going to read the article and just comment on issues that I have with Thomas L. Friedman. Thomas L. Friedman is Jewish, by the way. Okay, hold on. Okay, it's an opinion piece for the Times. It was October 19th, 2023. The title is Israel is about to make a terrible mistake. Okay. This is Thomas L. Friedman. I have great admiration for how President Biden has used his empathy and physical presence in Israel to convince Israelis that they are not alone in their war against the barbaric Hamas, while trying to reach out to moderate Palestinians. Biden, I know, tried really hard to get Israeli leaders to pause in their rage and think 3 steps ahead, not only about how to get into Gaza to take down Hamas, but also about how to get out, and how to do it with the fewest civilian casualties possible. While the president expressed deep understanding of Israel's moral and strategic dilemma, he pleaded with Israeli military and political leaders to learn from America's rush to war after September 11th, which took our troops deep into the dead ends and dark alleys of unfamiliar cities and towns in Iraq and Afghanistan. However, from everything I have gleaned from senior U.S. officials, Biden failed to get Israel to hold back and think through all the implications of an invasion of Gaza for Israel and the United States. So let me put this as in stark and clear language as I can, because the hour is late. I believe that if Israel rushes headlong into Gaza now to destroy Hamas and does so without expressing a clear commitment to seek a two-state solution with the Palestinian Authority and end Jewish settlements deep in the West Bank, it will be making a grave mistake that will be devastating for Israeli interests and American interests. I completely and utterly disagree with that. They have no choice. There was no other option. They're tired of it, and then to kickstart the entire, war, you could say, was 1,400 people were slaughtered. I mean, I don't know. You would think that if Hamas really wanted something, they would take like maybe 500 hostage and then start negotiating for something. They slaughtered them. They killed them, and there's no coming back from that. So I disagree with Thomas L. Friedman completely on that. Okay. It could trigger a global conflagration and explode the entire pro-American alliance structure that the United States has built in the region since Henry Kissinger engineered the end of the Yom Kippur War in 1973. I don't believe that. I'm talking about the Camp David peace treaty. That was effective, worked. The Oslo peace accords, both of them were shit. Nothing came out of them. The Abraham Accords looked to be strong. And the possible normalization of relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. The whole thing could go up in flames. The whole thing's not going to go up in flames. I mean, unless I could be missing something. Maybe Iran and Saudi Arabia, have now hugged or shook hands, and they're going to get together. Saudi Arabia understands the monetary, the positive. I don't even know how to say it. Israel, technology-wise, money-wise, cash flow-wise, they have so much to offer, and the Middle East knows this. I mean, does Saudi Arabia give a shit if Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, or Egypt are offended? No, they want money. This is a business deal. So I disagree with you on that one, man. This is not about whether Israel has the right to retaliate against Hamas for the savage barbarism it inflicted on Israeli men, women, babies, and grandparents. It surely does. This is about doing it the right way, the way that does not play into the hands of Hamas, Iran, and Russia. Thomas, what is the right way? It's been 75 years. You tell me, what is the right? You tell me slaughtering 1,400 and maybe start negotiating? No. I can't be any more clear on this because I've heard so many times. Just please listen to this. I want to be very clear on this. Israel is not leaving Gaza until Hamas is gone. Period. They are not. They're not going to fucking settle for something. The chance of Hamas giving back, any decent amount of hostages is almost nil. They don't care. But once you have it in your head that Hamas is going to be eradicated before Israel leaves, then you'll get a better understanding. So just take it from that step, then write an article, because that's what's going to happen. If Israel goes into Gaza and takes months to kill or capture every Hamas leader and soldier, but does so while expanding Jewish settlements in the West Bank, thereby making any two-state solution there with the moderate Palestinian Authority impossible. There will be no legitimate Palestinian or Arab League or European or UN or NATO coalition that will ever be prepared to go into Gaza and take it off Israel's hands. Tough shit. They're going to go in there. Okay, they're going to eradicate, like I said, the Hamas, the leaders, and anybody involved that they have the knowledge of. They're gone. Israel doesn't want the land. Israel's going to hopefully set up something where they have a legitimate government, as you will. I mean, not a terrorist organization. I would start there. They should implement with the help of, I hate to say the UN, because they'll fuck things up, but maybe a coalition of a few governments can help set up there at once Hamas is gone. Okay. There will be no one to extract Israel and no one to help Israel pay the cost of caring for more than 2 million Gazans. Not if Israel is run by a government that thinks and acts if they can justifiably exact its revenge on Hamas while unjustifiably building an apartheid-like society run by Jewish supremacists in the West Bank. That is completely incoherent policy. Normally, I would react on that paragraph harshly, but I'm going to give Thomas L. Friedman a mulligan on that paragraph. I don't think he and others has to understand they are not leaving until they 100% control Gaza. Okay, who are they going to get millions for Gaza? Who do you think spends millions right now on Gaza? Israel does. A paragraph like I don't even understand why you would even write that. Okay, this is a first things first. They are going to eliminate Hamas first. Okay, after that, I'm sure they'll have a plan implemented, after the outcome. But until that is reached, articles like these are a fucking waste of time. They're not stopping. They're not going to read the article and be like, "Whoa, good point." No, 1,400 were slaughtered. Okay, slaughtered on Israel's land, called Gaza, but it's Israel's land. Anyways, read chapter 15 of my book. Alas, though, a senior U.S. official told me, Friedman, I'm reading again, that the Biden team left Jerusalem feeling that while Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel understands that overreaching Gaza, it's not, could set the whole neighborhood ablaze. It won't. Well, it may. His right-wing coalition partners are eager to fan the flames in the West Bank. Settlers there have killed at least 7 Palestinian civilians in acts of revenge in just the past week. Meanwhile, U.S. officials told me the representatives of those settlers in the cabinet are withholding tax money owed to the Palestinian Authority, making it harder for it to keep the West Bank as under control as it has been since the start of the Hamas war. I mean, of course they're going to hold their money. They're at war with them. What part of this, does Thomas and others not understand? They are at war with them. If they can hold money, of course they're going to fucking hold it. I mean, gosh. Netanyahu should not allow this, but he has trapped himself. He needs those right-wing extremists in his coalition to keep himself out of jail on corruption charges. But he is going to put all of Israel into jail of Gaza unless he breaks with those Jewish supremacists. No, you're wrong. After the war, you can bring this issue up. But now, nope. Unfortunately, the senior U.S. official told me Israeli military leaders are actually more hawkish than the prime minister now. They are red with rage and determined to deliver a blow to Hamas that the whole neighborhood will never forget. That is correct. I understand why, but friends don't let friends drive while enraged. Well, friends don't let friends, maybe bring in paragliders with guns and murder innocent people. Biden has to tell this Israeli government taking over Gaza without pairing it with a totally new approach to settlements, the West Bank, and a two-state solution would be a disaster for Israel and a disaster for America. We'll find out, because that's what's going to happen. I don't think it'll be a disaster, by the way, because the other countries that are really involved with them don't have the money. Egypt's not taking any in. Jordan's not going to take any in. And Iran, if we could actually, there's many things we can do to them. They're the only ones that's forcing this issue. We can help. We can even insist that our Arab and European allies work to create a more effective, less corrupt, and more legitimate Palestinian Authority in the West Bank that, after some transition in Gaza, could help govern there as well, but not without the fundamental change in Israeli policy towards the PA and the Jewish settlers. Thomas. The Palestinians elected Hamas, a terrorist organization recognized by, how many countries, okay? Their northern neighbors, Lebanon, Hezbollah, runs the entire country, all right? What on earth... get a less corrupt and more legitimate Palestinian Authority in the West Bank after some transition in Gaza could help govern there as well. Who are they, Thomas? Who are those people that are going to come in and run it without any corruption or hatred towards Israel? You can just answer, if you can, answer that one anywhere you'd like. I'd like to hear who it is. Otherwise, what began as a Hamas onslaught against Israel has the potential to trigger a Middle East war with every great power and regional power having a hand in it, which would make it very difficult to stop once it started. Thomas, who are these? Who are them? Hezbollah, okay. Fatah, Hamas. Who outside there? Who's going to go? Yemen, Iraq. That's going to be a long rocket from Tehran. And don't think that Tehran isn't being scoped right now under their water. Who? I just want to know who's going to have a hand in it. In the first week of this conflict, the supreme leader of Iran and Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah militia in Lebanon, appeared to be keeping very tight control of their militiamen on the border with Israel and in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. But as the second week has gone on, U.S. officials have picked up increasing signs that both leaders are letting their forces more aggressively attack Israeli targets and that they might attack American targets if the United States intervenes. They smell the logic of how much an Israeli invasion of Gaza could help their goal of driving America out of the whole region. We're talking about terrorist organizations, okay? They don't give two shits. You think if Israel didn't go in and Hezbollah wasn't already on the border and Israel just launched, some rockets for a day or two, Hezbollah's always on the border. Okay. They're looking for an excuse, to do whatever damage they can at any time. All right. They haven't done it yet, at a decent level. But I don't understand what you're saying here. If we didn't go in there, if Israel didn't go into Gaza, that Hezbollah and others would stay away. They're fucking terrorists. I don't understand I don't understand that. That paragraph makes no sense to me. On Thursday, a U.S. Navy warship in the northern Red Sea shot down 3 cruise missiles and several drones, apparently launched by the pro-Iranian Houthi militia in Yemen. That might have headed toward Israel. more missiles, likely from the pro-Iranian militias, were fired at U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria. Let me just make this very clear, because and hopefully this helps. Do you think when Hamas planned to take 1,400 lives in Israel, okay, that Israel was going to have no response? They knew what was going to happen. They don't give a shit. They don't care about the Palestinians. Israel, on any attack in Israel from any of its borders, has a 100% retaliation rate. So why are we all putting this all on Israel? Nobody puts this, Hamas, from this article. I just don't understand it. I mean, it makes no sense to me. I know I'm babbling, but it's just frustrated. Reading shit like this in the New York Times. All right. So many rockets. Israel is not likely to let Iran use its proxies to hit Israel without eventually firing a missile directly at Tehran. Israel has missile-armed submarines that are probably in the Persian Gulf as we speak. If that gets going, it's Katie bar the door. That's Katie bar the door for Iran. The United States, Russia, and China could all be drawn in directly or indirectly. They're already drawn in it. What makes the situation triply dangerous is that even if Israel acts with a Herculean restraint to prevent civilian deaths in Gaza, it won't matter. Think of what happened at the Gaza City's Ali Arab Hospital on Tuesday. Nothing happened. Or, some rocket that obviously, came in from, it was misguided and, hit the parking lot next to the hospital. And there was about 10 cars that got fucking hammered. Outside of that, nothing. They claimed there was 450 some deaths. Where in the hospital? How so? After that rocket failed and fell on the Palestinian hospital in Gaza, killing scores of people, I have yet to see what number from that hospital. Where in that hospital? There wasn't a mark on the hospital. I mean, people in their cars that were there, sure. Okay. Some of the people, Hamas and Islamic Jihad, rushed out and claimed, with no evidence, that Israel had deliberately bombed the hospital, setting streets ablaze across the Arab world. When Israel and the United States offered a compelling evidence a few hours later that Islamic Jihad had accidentally hit the Gaza hospital with its own rocket, it was already too late. The Arab streets was on fire, and a meeting of Arab leaders with Biden was canceled. Bullshit. If people cannot talk openly and honestly about a misfired rocket, imagine what will happen when the first major Israeli invasion of Gaza begins in our wired world, linked by social networks and polluted with misinformation, amplified by artificial intelligence. This is why I believe that Israel would be much better off framing any Gaza operation as, quote, Operation Save Our Hostages, unquote, rather than, quote, Operation End Hamas Once and For All, unquote, and carrying it out, if possible, with repeated surgical strikes and special forces that can still get the Hamas leadership by also drawing the brightest lines between Gazan civilians and the Hamas dictatorship. Bullshit. Fuck that. Give me a break, Thomas. I mean, come on. Israel is going to lose in the PR battle 99 out of 100 times. You had 1,400 people murdered, slaughtered, beheaded, set on fire, raped in daylight. And it wasn't 30 hours after all of that Palestinians started marches and parades and all that, whatever the fuck they did. 30 hours later, after all of that, Israel will never win the PR war. It's not going to happen. You're seeing it now. But if Israel feels it must reoccupy Gaza to destroy Hamas and restore its deterrence and security, I repeat, it must pair that military operation with a new commitment to pursue a two-state solution with those Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza ready to make peace with Israel. How on earth do you not think that those talks are going on now? I mean, right now, Israel is going, as mentioned, is not withholding the destruction of Hamas. It's going to take months. I mean, you have these comments now about this Israeli PR. How about 90 days from now? When they're really rallying out, people in front of the cameras in Palestine. I mean, for the Palestinians, and I just don't get it, my man. I really don't. The hour is late. I have never written a column this urgent before because I have never been more worried about how this situation could spin out of control in ways that could damage Israel irreparably, damage U.S. interests irreparably, damage Palestinians irreparably, threaten Jews everywhere, and destabilize the whole world. I beg Biden to tell Israelis this immediately for their sake, for America's sake, and for the sake of Palestinians, and for the sake of the world. Well, make sure he's got nothing else. I mean, Israel's not leaving the Gaza Strip until Hamas is gone. If it takes 10 years, they're not leaving. They're not thinking about setting up, two states. They're not thinking about the other Arab countries and attacking them. They're thinking about their own interest. If that shit happened to United States, what do you think we would do? So, I mean, I don't know. I'm very, very frustrated. He's a great writer. He's got a ton of experience. And anyone writing weekly articles for the New York Times, knows their shit. I just completely disagree with that particular article, and I want anyone who's listening to know this is going to be long. Batten down the hatches. It's going to get ugly, but Israel has come to the conclusion, in my opinion, that they can no longer do a thing with Hamas, and they're tired of getting poked at and not responding, and this is going to be their response. So we'll continue to see articles like this. They're irrelevant to me because they are not going to stop. So, all right. Thanks for listening.